Imagine a man who's beaten every odd life threw at him. Bombs, illness, betrayal, addiction, only to stand on a stage at 85, tears streaming, whispering peace and love, while the weight of two lost brothers crushes his chest. That moment broke millions of hearts, and it's just the beginning of why we're all holding our breath for the last drummer still standing. He came into the world on a July night in 1940, right in the middle of a city under siege. Air raid sirens howled. The ground shook. His dad, a quiet baker, was already slipping away, and by the time the boy was 3, the man was gone for good. His mom scrubbed floors by day, poured pints by night, just to keep a roof over their heads. They bounced to a smaller place when the money ran dry. Then, at 6, a simple stomach ache turned into a nightmare. His appendix ruptured. Infection flooded his body. He slipped into a coma that lasted days. Doctors gave his mom the darkest looks. He woke up months later, 8 years old, unable to read the simplest words, a whole year stolen from childhood. But he never whined. He just kept moving. School finally started clicking when he was 13, until tuberculosis knocked him flat again. 2 years in a sanatorium. No visitors most days, just white walls and silence. One afternoon, a nurse handed him a makeshift drumstick and told him to bang on a biscuit tin. The clang echoed through his bones like lightning. Another visitor slipped him a record of drum solos. He played it until the grooves wore thin. Music wasn't a hobby anymore, it was oxygen. The streets he grew up on were mean. Gangs ruled every corner. He joined one just to walk home alive. One night, a rival crew left him bleeding in an alley, questioning if he even belonged on the planet. Music pulled him out of that hole. At 16, he clocked in at a factory, machining parts by day, sneaking beats in the basement with 2 coworkers who loved the same raw sound. Christmas brought a secondhand kit from a stepdad. 2 months later, he was on stage for the first time, heart hammering louder than the snare. He bounced between bands, earning the nickname that stuck because of the silver ring stacking up his fingers and the way Starr felt like destiny. His new group ruled the local scene, bigger crowds than anyone else in town. Then came the call to play the wild clubs of a German port city. Nights bled into mornings, booze, pills, chaos. He saw bandmates get deported for stupid stunts, yet he kept the beat steady. One random session, he sat in with 3 other local kids, laying down tracks no one would hear for years. Something clicked that night, but he didn't know it yet. Back home, the hottest band in the city needed a drummer fast. He filled in once, twice. The guitar player locked eyes with him and thought, this is the guy. Contracts got torn up. One afternoon, the old drummer was out and our guy was in. The crowd rioted. Death threats arrived in the mail. Someone smashed a bottle over the guitar player's head. On his first day in the studio, the producer sidelined him for a session guy and handed him a tambourine. He stood there shaking, convinced he'd be fired by sunset. They tested him mercilessly, hiding gear, faking emergencies, watching to see if he'd crack. He never did. His left-handed grip on a right-handed kit gave the songs a lilt no one else could copy. He practiced until his hands bled, terrified of proving the doubters right. Then, right before their first world tour, fever spiked to 102. Tonsils swollen shut. Doctors grounded him for 8 shows. He watched from a hospital bed, certain the door was closing forever. He flew halfway around the world, still sick, to reclaim his spot. The plane hadn't even taxied when thousands screamed his name at the airport. 4 months later, 500 teenagers fainted at his feet during a layover. Police linked arms to keep him from being torn apart. He smiled through it all, but the madness was eating him alive. Filming their first movie, his off-the-cuff jokes stole every scene. Critics called him the breakout star. Behind the camera, he was running on fumes. Another collapse, another replacement. The fear never left. Overseas shoots turned hostile. Locals spat insults. Security choked their every move. One tour stop turned into a nightmare regime accusing them of disrespect. Protection vanished. Thugs in fake uniforms beat their crew bloody. They paid a ransom just to board the plane and swore never to return. By the late 60s, the studio felt like a battlefield. He'd wait hours while the others chased new sounds, learning chess to kill time. One day, the bass player shredded his playing in front of everyone. He walked out, sailed to an island, and wrote a children's song about hiding under the sea. They begged him back, decorated his drums with flowers, but the cracks were spreading. A car crash brought a hospital bed into the control room. Needles, arguments, silence. Childhood illness flared again mid-album, and the others whispered about finishing without him. He watched a bandmate detox tied to a chair, screaming. One afternoon, he delivered a message that ended with a finger in his chest and a threat. "I'll finish you." He put on his coat and left without a word. Weeks later, the breakup hit the papers. He read it like everyone else. Depression swallowed him. Gardens, sky, silence. Lawsuits froze every penny. His first solo record drowned under the noise of the split. One benefit concert became the closest thing to a reunion, only he and one other showed up. The crowd cheered, but it felt like a wake. He tried everything. Furniture empires with chrome grills built into tables, movie roles that left him blushing at premieres, voicing a train for kids who fell asleep to his lullabies. Some ideas soared, some crashed hard. A slapstick cave movie broke his arm, but gave him the love of his life. They married and never looked back. The 70s turned brutal. Bottles piled up. Powder disappeared. One overdose stopped his heart long enough for doctors to panic. Blackouts erased entire tours. One morning, he woke to a trashed mansion and his wife bruised on the floor. They checked into rehab together and clawed their way out. If this story of survival through every kind of hell is hitting you hard, please share it with someone who needs to hear that rock bottom isn't the end. Courts dragged him back. Custody battles, addiction smeared across headlines. He kept increasing payments, kept showing up. Fans replaced a beloved TV narrator and rioted in the streets. Offshore accounts raised eyebrows, but every art spin from a car engine still funded cancer wards and recovery houses. At 84, he was still crossing continents, sweat flying off the drums. Then one night, the lights didn't come up. Illness forced cancellations. First time in decades. Doctors ordered rest. Fans flooded social media with prayers. His 85th birthday should have been pure joy. A city declared it his day. Satellites bounced his message to the moon, but when noon struck and he raised his hands for the annual global salute, his voice splintered. For the first time, he spoke their names out loud, the two brothers gone too soon. Tears fell, the world cried with him. Yet the next breath, he announced 2 new albums, one cooked with a legend of twang, due next year. He laughed at retirement questions, said his kids roll their eyes every time. Every ringing phone is another stage, another heartbeat. He's still here, still smiling through the ache, still proving that a kid who almost died 3 times before age 10 can outrun every shadow. The beat goes on, because he refuses to let it stop. If this journey from hospital beds to stadiums moved you, hit like, subscribe, and share it wide. Let's keep the peace and love alive together.